This is the Basement Vagrants podcast.
What kind of a wiener name is that?
With Wrecker.
All these morons getting dumber or just louder.
Bubs.
I'm a big four-eyed lame-o, and I wear the same stupid sweater every day
And Schweitzer.
Nerd!
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Hey everybody, this is the Basement Vagrants podcast with our somewhat infrequent everybody in the same studio edition, because with us all the way from halfway across the country for the first time in what seems like a decade now, but I think it was only a few years, Andrew Schweitzer is with us in studio.
Hold your applause, please.
And next to him on the broadcasting couch is Bubs.
Not only is it the broadcasting couch, but it's the casting couch.
Oh, no.
Why do you think I grabbed the chair for me?
Not again.
Hey, how badly do you want to make it in the podcasting game, kid?
Coming
Okay.
to the Basement Vagrants OnlyFans page.
Anyway, this is an episode that I've been looking forward to for quite a while because we are entering the Pierce Brosnan era of James Bond in our trek through Bond. And we are going to be talking about 1995's Goldeneye, starring Pierce Brosnan. Before we get into it, I've been looking forward to this one because it's actually one of my favorite Bond movies, and I have a lot of fond memories of Goldeneye. Not only was it the first Bond movie I ever saw, this is 95, and I saw it around when it came out, so I was 8 or 9 or something like that. So it was the first Bond movie I saw. It was also the first VHS tape I ever bought in my career of collecting movies. This is the first movie I ever bought with my own money.
Do you still have that one?
I do.
Oh, nice.
It's in a box with all my other tapes somewhere. I remember specifically, it's one of those childhood memories that I have like very vivid memories of.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember going to Zeller's, and it was with my mom. That's how long ago it was. We bought it at Zeller's, rest in peace. And I think it was $24, which was amazing. Thinking that VHS tapes used to cost $24, and that's in 1995 money.
Just inflation, that's like $50 today.
Yeah.
And for me, just having an allowance when I was a kid, $24 is a lot of money, but I spent it because I saw it. I remember seeing it on. I don't know where I would have seen it because I didn't see it in the theaters, and I don't think we had cable at the time, but I definitely saw it somewhere. And I rewatched it so many. This is the Bond movie I've rewatched more than any other.
Wow.
By far. Well, maybe not by far, but it's certainly the most I've seen. And Schweitzer, this is not the first Bond movie you saw, right?
This was not the first Bond movie I saw, but I think they think this had to be the first Pierce Brosnan Bond movie that I saw, and fond memories of this one too. I wasn't into the franchise back in 1995. I would have been 9 at the time that this movie came out, November 17th, 1995, because I'm that much of a savant. But this was one that I was really looking forward to seeing when I was really into the franchise. It's like, all right, this one I've got to see right away, and I want to understand what the hype was about, because I knew that another Bond movie was going to be coming out later that year in '99 when I got into the franchise. Mm-hmm. But fond memories of this one too. Not as vivid as yours, but or detailed anyway.
Bubs, you'd seen this before, right?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Probably
when
on
it came out.
VHS. Not in the theater, but I'm pretty sure we probably rented it one time and watched it on VHS, I'm sure.
It was I don't have the numbers, but I know it was a pretty successful financially Bond movie. I think it made quite a bit of money, especially since it was the first Bond movie in 6 years?
6 years.
1989 was License to Kill, right?
That's right. There was a lot of legal trouble. I don't understand the specifics, but what happened was a lot of legal problems were holding up the James Bond franchise. By the time that they announced in 1994 that they were going to be going ahead with the franchise again, Timothy Dalton said, look, I don't think fans are going to accept somebody who hasn't done the role in 6 years. I've done my bit, I had fun, but you know what, I'm going to pass the role on to somebody else. That somebody else was who the role was originally intended for, and that was Pierce Brosnan.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we've explained before that Pierce Brosnan was asked to do. Was he asked to do both of the Dalton films?
Yeah, not Licensed to Kill, but he was asked to do The Living Daylights, and then because of Remington Steele,
He was under contract.
Well, not that he was under contract, because they were going to cancel Remington Steele, but once the buzz about Brosnan getting the role came out, ratings started to peak up for Remington Steele, and so it's like, oh, guess what? We're renewing your contract because, we're going to be making some made-for-TV movies that are Remington Steele, which even Pierce Brosnan was like, those were, no, I did not like making those. And I got the numbers here for Goldeneye. For 1995, this was number 4 in the top films of the year, grossing $352 million worldwide.
Pretty good.
Yeah, the 3 movies that beat it, Apollo 13, Toy Story, and number 1 was Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it was before before blockbuster movies were expected to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
Back when $300 million was pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, before we get into running through the plot, it was directed by Martin Campbell. You might not recognize his name, but he directed Casino Royale. He came back to do the first Daniel Craig film. He also directed The Legend of Zorro and Mask of Zorro. Those are mainly what he's known for. And this is something I found that was interesting. I was looking up who wrote the film, and the story was by Michael France, who I'd never heard of before, and I looked him up, and he's only written 5 or 6 movies, one of them being Goldeneye, the rest being, get this, Cliffhanger, The Punisher from 2004,
Whoa.
Hulk, the Ang Lee movie,
Whoa.
and Fantastic Four,
Which one?
the first one, with Jessica Alba.
Okay.
Oh.
So talk about one hit and then a string of fucking flops.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. How embarrassing.
I know, right? And I think
but he probably got paid really well for all 4 of those.
Yeah.
So.
But it's funny, like, he has this great hit with Goldeneye, at least critical hit.
Yeah.
And then everything else in his career has been utter garbage. I guess Hulk is probably the most lauded of those, and even I don't think people liked Hulk very much.
Cliffhanger.
Hey, yo.
I don't know. I haven't seen Cliffhanger since I was like 8 years old, and I remember not liking it then. So I'm guessing my opinion hasn't changed much. We just watched the movie before this, and I don't think I took a single note because I was just kind of enjoying the movie. But normally I have a list of notes for these movies, but I guess we can just go through it from start to finish.
Yeah.
If you want to take the reins.
So the story begins in 1986. Starts off with this beautiful jump from a hydroelectric dam, and oh my gosh, talk about starting with a bang, so to speak, because that jump, beautiful stunt work. We see Bond is sneaking into the Archangel weapons facility in what was then the USSR.
I have a note about the jump. I don't know if it's still current or not, but the damn jump was or is the highest bungee jump from a structure in a movie at over 722 feet. I don't know if that's been topped since. Maybe not, but it at least one point held that record. And I love in that shot how the sound completely cuts out, and you just see him falling. And it looks excellent. I love how it's just done in total silence. Until he hits the ground, you hear the snap, and the sound cuts in again. I love how that was shot. I think it's excellent.
Oh, yeah.
I love any stunt that's just one long, uninterrupted take. It's great. And Bond films are typically pretty good for that.
So one thing that always kind of caught my attention was that they sort of don't show Bond's face right away. They'll show his eye, like when he was using that laser cutter. They show his silhouette when he's crawling through the ducts. But our first shot of 007, he's upside down in a men's washroom asking somebody, beg your pardon, forgot to knock, and then bang.
Yeah. It's funny. I like that scene, but it's a weird way to introduce him. I like the not show. It reminded me of like Indiana Jones with the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. We just kind of see Indy. You see him from the back, and then you see his eyes, and you don't see him too quickly.
Full profile.
Yeah. So I like that, but yeah, the first full shot of him in a bathroom, I don't know. But it does kind of set the tone for the Brosnan era, which I always looked at as kind of a homage in a way to the Moore era, where they're a little sillier, they're a little more
Very tongue-in-cheek.
very tongue-in-cheek. Pierce Brosnan, not that this is a bad thing, but he's kind of I don't want to say pretty boy, but he's a little overly smarmy sometimes. He's
Certainly towards the end.
yeah, he's not so much in Goldeneye, but he gets a little bit comical at some points.
Mm-hmm.
So he was really kind of like a little more modern version of Moore. So I guess it works to set the tone of a little less serious Bond, which is strange because I think the movie, was it written for Timothy Dalton in mind?
I actually don't know about that. I mean, chances are it may have been, but then
He's definitely a serious Bond.
Oh, very. But I also thought it's kind of funny, this scene takes place in 1986, the year that Pierce Brosnan was supposed to take the role.
True.
Yeah, so who knows? So he meets up with his contact. This is 006, Alec Trevelyan, played by Sean Bean, who is only going to be seen for just this opening scene, and no way he's going to show up in the rest of the film because, as they attempt to destroy the weapons facility, Trevelyan gets captured by then Colonel Orumov. And I forget the name of the actor who plays Orumov.
I don't know. I looked him up, and he's not known for really anything other than Russian movies. So, was Sean Bean known at the time?
He was.
Was he known for anything?
I think this program called Sharp's War or something.
Don't know.
I don't know much
not
about
familiar
it.
with it.
But he was in contention to be the next James Bond.
Because that's what my only, somewhat one of my few minor criticisms is that the reveal that Sean Bean is the villain halfway through the movie. It's Sean Bean, so if you're watching it now, you're like, you won't think like, oh, they got Sean Bean for 5 minutes in the beginning of the movie. It's pretty obvious he's coming back, but maybe at the time, if nobody had known who Sean Bean was, it might be more of a surprise. Because I can't think of anything like before Goldeneye that he had done.
No, I can't.
I'm
either.
sure there's stuff, but nothing I can think of really. Anyway.
Okay, so Bond was originally supposed to set the timers for 6 minutes, but as Orumov is giving a countdown for Bond to surrender, Bond switches the timer and sets it to 3 minutes, which is going to be a bit of an important plot point. Trevelyan gets shot when he tells James just blow them all to hell, but he does not surrender, and he reminds Bond for England, James, and then Orumov shoots him. Mm-hmm. So Bond escapes by holding some gas canisters in front of him on a wheelie. Very tense moment because, that all these Russians want to shoot him, but they can't because there's a chance they're going to kill themselves. And Bond escapes by jumping onto a
conveyor belt.
Yeah, conveyor belt, and then shooting out all these I would assume they're empty canisters that just fall onto all the guards. It's a great
They don't
scene.
just fall, they shoot out with great force.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why. It seems like OSHA needs to investigate the facility there, because that seems like a horrible safety violation.
Yeah, they need safety inspectors, like Homer Simpson's running the place.
Yeah. So Bond gets onto the runway outside where he's trying to catch a plane at the very last minute, but the Russians are after him. He gets into the plane, falls out. The driver, or the pilot rather, gets hit by a motorcyclist. Bond chases after the runaway plane on a motorcycle, and as the plane flies off of the runway, or rather falls off of the runway because it's on the edge of a cliff, Bond follows in pursuit on the motorcycle, and talk about going from one amazing stunt to another. I mean, oh my gosh!
Free falls off the side of the cliff, catches the airplane in midair, and pulls it up and flies away. Now we know that's. I'm sure the jump was real. Obviously, getting in the plane was not real. Although, I don't know. I know they didn't fly the plane, but did the stuntman actually get into the plane? Because you can see him climb up the side of the plane. Can't you?
No.
Isn't there a shot of him grabbing onto the plane?
Well, no. That's Pierce. That's very bad CGI at the time. Like the moment where he's in free fall.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, but
I could have sworn there was a shot, a faraway shot of the stuntman grabbing onto the plane.
No,
but maybe not.
No. I'm afraid not.
I think I'm not sure, but I want to say that there was a MythBusters episode because they did a bunch of episodes of doing like movie myths, and I know they did some Bond movies. I want to say that there was an episode where they tried to prove that like this stunt could be done, like if you could free fall faster than a falling plane, and because I don't think you can. I seriously doubt that, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So then we get to the theme song, Goldeneye, performed by Tina Turner, written by Bono and The Edge of U2.
One of probably my second favorite Bond theme after Goldeneye, or after Skyfall. I love this song. Tina Turner is an amazing singer. I love the horns in the song. This is like the quintessential Bond song. Like, I love all the brass instruments. I know you've mentioned many times, it's always better when a female singer does a Bond theme. For the most part, I think this is an excellent song. It's my second favorite for sure.
It's definitely in my top 5 favorite Bond themes, and it's just there's nothing that hasn't been said about it already that I could add to it, other than when we watched in this was on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were right. You can see the nipples from the models. Mm-hmm. So
in most of the Bond openings, those stylistic Maurice Binder openings, you can see their nipples in Blu-ray.
Imagine what you're going to see on the next level of media format.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the 4K comes out. You can see their ovaries. I was a little bit worried when the opening started because it was 1995 and a lot of the opening sequence is done in CGI. And 90s CGI is usually not very good, but I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, it's not like Jurassic Park where it's like, oh my god, it still looks amazing. It's a little bit spotty at times, but it's not like the Lawnmower Man or Spawn.
No,
it looks pretty good for 1995 CGI. Yeah. Looks pretty good.
Yes,
and I like the opening quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. So we cut to the present day of 1995 at the time. Bond is out with someone from MI5 or MI5-6 who is there to evaluate him, but that evaluation is going to have to wait because he is getting into a car chase with Famke Janssen, who is playing Xenia Onatopp, driving a bright red Ferrari. Unfortunately, this chase is hampered by the soundtrack, which was something that we all pointed out from the start. I was going to save this for the show, but maybe we can splice in that music because it's a pew, 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 pew,
yeah.
pew, pew.
It's like bad 90s electronic music.
Yes.
But it's not even like... I mean, I'm not a big fan of electronic music, but it's not even like a song. It sounds like literally like a cat walking across a Casio.
Yeah.
It's just like random bleeps and bloops. And there's another song later. I think it's in the scene where Bond and Xenia are trying to escape the helicopter. They're tied up in the helicopter. There's another score. There's another song that's very similar. It's a like electronic.
Oh.
Yeah, it's real. Like as good as the opening theme is, the score for this movie is not very good. It's probably one of the weaker ones. The fact that I most of the scores in these movies, I don't even notice. The fact that I noticed it immediately, I was like, this is fucking garbage.
It sticks out.
It sticks out like crazy. It's so bad.
So the chase goes on between them. Bond is usually in the lead, but then Xenia comes out on top, and he lets her win this race because she's going to possibly, or they're going to possibly kill some cyclists. You know, she can't share all the blame. So the evaluator is not very impressed, and she's like, oh, you're incorrigible. And of course, James has the perfect antidote for her worries, which is some Bollinger on ice.
Of course.
And he decides, you know what, let's give each other a thorough evaluation.
He's got champagne in the armrest and Plan B in the glove compartment.
It makes you wonder, like, M later talks about whose charms were wasted on that girl I sent out to evaluate you. It's like, so why did you send her? Yeah. If you sent a guy...
Send Tanner.
Yes! That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Or some old ugly broad or something. Like
Lois Maxwell.
Sister.
Bring Lois Maxwell back for that. We love you, Lois. R.I.P.
Speaking of Moneypennies, this is our first scene with Samantha Bond.
No, that's not Samantha Bond.
It's not Samantha Bond? Oh, no, you're right. Who is it then?
They don't name her.
What's the actress's name?
Oh, beats me. But no, that is not Moneypenny.
No, you're right. For some reason, I was thinking that was Moneypenny. But
Well, the first time I watched it, I thought, oh, this is Moneypenny
Yeah.
for some reason. Why does Moneypenny look different in this scene now? It's like,
she's
yeah.
basically Moneypenny. She's like the
Yes.
same character, but no, I forgot that's not Samantha Bond. She looks totally different.
So later, Bond goes to this casino where he sees Xenia playing Baccarat, and I gotta say, Xenia looked not the same outfit, but like her hair seemed very similar to Sylvia Trench's in Doctor No. I don't know.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
was getting some vibes from that. So they share some playful banter, and Bond comes out on a top against her because he wins. He orders a vodka martini, shaken not stirred. Xenia orders the same, straight up with a twist. And oddly enough, we never see her get the drink, so it's like, well, congratulations. Bond's just like, fine, more for me. And we also get Pierce Brosnan does his first Bond, James Bond, and I think his is very iconic. It's very simple, but like I found that in the years, like that's the one that is constantly played over and over again. So,
we get to meet our henchman, our main henchman / femme fatale, Xenia Onatopp, played by Famke Janssen, who, honestly, as far as henchmen go, I think she's one of my favorites. She's a really fun character. She's got, like, we're used to henchmen with, like, gimmicks like Jaws and Oddjob and Tee-Hee and stuff like that, and hers is that she gets off on killing people, and her main method of killing is by squeezing them with her thighs, which is a little bit silly, but I think Famke Janssen, the way she acts it doesn't come off as goofy to me. Like, it seems like she's like legitimately a psychopath who gets sexually excited by killing people.
She's got a lot of practice scissoring.
yes.
I think that role, if done by an actress who is done by a different actress, it could have seemed dumb and silly, but I think she pulls it off excellent. Not only is she super gorgeous and sexy, but I think she's one of the better henchmen, I think. I'd put her right up there.
Definitely.
Like the top 5. I like her a lot.
So Bond also makes a note to her that the Ferrari that she's driving may have been stolen because I think he says something like the license plate for this year's registry all start with the letter L, even the counterfeit ones. Mm-hmm. And so he decides to do some observation with her because she's partying around with an admiral of the Canadian Navy, which is more like a junior lieutenant in most of the regular navies.
On a canoe.
Yeah. But he observes them going to a yacht, and he also observes a helicopter on board a naval vessel nearby. When he returns to his Aston Martin, he's got the detailed report from Moneypenny that was transmitted. The Aston Martin comes with a printer now, onboard printer.
Yeah, that's a really a great little touch of what we thought future technology would be in the 90s. Your car would have a little heat transfer paper, like a receipt thing that just goes.
Yeah, at first
spits out of your car.
He was getting a receipt.
That's what it's like. They didn't see the screens in cars yet, but that was just a delightful little piece of. Gee, what could the future hold? We can have little printouts in our cars that we can file away in a file of fax.
So we find out that Xenia is an ex-Soviet fighter pilot who possibly has ties to the Yanis crime syndicate in St. Petersburg, and that the yacht that she's aboard, the Manticore, is part of a known Yanis corporate front. Mm-hmm. Bond is given authorization to observe on a top. However, he is told to get M's approval before initiating any more contact. And then we cut to Yacht Manticore, where Xenia is certainly on a top of Admiral Chuck Farrell, and we see how she kills him by strangulation via her thighs.
Oh, way to go.
Yes.
He had a smile on his face.
He seemed pretty happy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how I want to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Get Famke on the phone.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so then Bond sneaks aboard the Manticore while Xenia, and who appears to be the Admiral, this person's identity is never known, whether it's...
just another henchman.
Yes, exactly. But, so Bond goes snooping around, he takes out a thug, and upon further investigation, he finds the body of the Admiral. It's like, oh dear, he's stiff, and he's also got rigor mortis. So he sneaks back. He realizes that something's got to be happening with this helicopter. Obviously, that's why his naval pass is missing. Xenia shoots the two pilots who are going to be demonstrating this new Tiger. I almost said Tiger Electronic.
I was gonna make that joke when they say Tiger helicopters, picturing like the company that makes those little handheld like
Double Dragon.
the Mulan game with the two buttons.
Yes.
That's how they should have had that as the controller in the.
Yes.
The screen is just like an LCD.
Yeah. But this new helicopter, the most prominent feature on it is that it is impervious to electromagnetic interference. So, unfortunately, Bond is unable to stop it from getting stolen. And then we cut to the Severnaya station in Russia, where we meet our Bond girl for the film, Natalia Simonova, played by Isabella. I always forget how to say or pronounce her last name.
It's Isabella Skorupko. Skorupko. I looked her up because I love her in this movie. She has not had much of an acting career, and I don't want to say it's because she's bad or anything, but since Goldeneye, she's only been in maybe 6 or 7 movies or something like that. The only thing I would know her from is apparently I've never seen it, but she was in Exorcist: The Beginning.
I remember you mentioning that to me
Prequel to
once.
The Exorcist.
I fell asleep 3 times trying to watch that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the only thing on her list other than Goldeneye I know of. She's also I guess her biggest role other than this was she was in a Swedish TV show called Hidden Forsfold. I don't know what that is, but she was a main character on that. So other than that, she's not had much of an acting career. I don't know this for sure, but I always got the sense that she was like a model or something. Like she wasn't really an actress. She was more of a model.
Who just happened to go into acting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how I always thought of her. Yeah, I guess we can talk about Natalia. I think I've said this before. I'm on the record of saying Natalia is one of my favorite Bond girls of all time. Mainly because she is one of the most competent, self-actualized Bond girls who, like, she never turns into a Tanya Roberts. She's never like, oh, James, help me. She like, through the movie, she's almost kind of driving. She's almost in the driver's seat. Like she's telling Bond what to do at some points, and she knows what's going on. She takes it. There's scenes in the movie where it's just her following the trail of Boris. Like she's investigating along with Bond, and she's just like a computer programmer. She's not even a secret agent. Like she is, and she's not just a pretty face because I think she's absolutely beautiful, but she's important to the plot. She helps. She's essential to James. She's completely independent and self-actualized. I think she's one of the strongest Bond girls. And since it's a movie made in 1995, not a movie now, it doesn't feel like they're beating you over the head with, look at this strong female character.
Yeah.
Isn't she independent? Women can do anything. She's just a great character. They're never ramming it down your throat or anything. Whereas if today, that's exactly what it would be. So I think she's one of my all-time favorites. It's a shame that she hasn't really been in more movies because I think her performance is really good. She pulls off like the intense, angry a lot. Like there's that scene where she's sort of berating Bond on the beach.
Yes.
Her emotion in that scene is like you can feel it. She's good. She's really good. It's weird when you see actors that give a great performance and they're not acting more. I'd love to see her in more stuff. I think she's great.
Oh, probably said no to Weinstein.
Maybe.
Yes.
She said niet.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what do you guys think of Natalia?
Oh no, I'm totally in agreement with you. In fact, you have a philosophy: the better Bond girls are the ones who actually help him, and not a hindrance.
It's just, to me, it's so weird how she's like, you don't care about me or blah blah blah. It's like, bitch, he met you like 5 minutes ago. Why would he care about you? Right now, you're a tool to get where he needs to go next. Like,
but she turns that around on him later.
Yes, which I love,
which is great.
Oh
Nice callback.
No, I am. That's one of my favorite moments too when she does that. But
the worst thing you want to be in my mind is a Tanya Roberts or Rosie Carver from Live and Let Die.
Yes.
Who just doesn't do anything. They're just there because they're hot, and James Bond has to save them. Like, I don't want a Bond girl to be a damsel in distress.
Right.
And Natalia is absolutely not a damsel in distress.
No.
I love her character.
No, she's great. Okay, so yes, we are also introduced to Natalia's co-worker, Alex Borstein. Oh no, wait, no! I just thought that she looked like Alex
She
Borstein.
definitely does.
Look at the character of Anna. Yeah, exactly. That would have been funny if Miss Swan was there this whole time, and she also lived, but she just decides to just leave and go do something else. But we are also introduced to Boris Grishenko, played by Alan Cumming.
Yes. Who, again, I mean, I guess maybe I'm biased because this is, I have a lot of great memories of this movie, but I really like Alan Cumming in this movie.
Yeah.
He's obviously just mainly comic relief, and he's annoying, and he's, obnoxious, but he's meant to be that way.
Yes.
But in a way where he's more obnoxious to the characters in the movie than to the audience. Like, I never watch him and go, oh my god, I can't stand this guy.
Yes.
He's so annoying.
Like that guy in No Time to Die. That guy who got abducted from that lab and then remember they
he's a little too much.
Yeah.
He got on my nerves a lot.
Yes.
And he was supposed to in the context of the movie, but he's also annoys the audience. Whereas I think Alan Cumming does a great job of being annoying in context of the film, but I'm not annoyed by his performance.
You love to hate him.
I love that he's he's like sexist and he's a creep. He's fucking creepy, and he's a traitor and he's selfish and you just fucking hate him. But I kind of like watching him on screen. He's fun. I like his character quite a bit, and he doesn't fit into a lot of Bond archetypes. Like, he's not a henchman. He's not an ally.
No.
He's kind of... Well, he's a traitor and he's working for Trevelyan, but he's not a henchman. Like, he doesn't really fit into the very established Bond
He's just a glorified tool, more or less.
Yeah. And I think he's great in this movie.
No, he is. But Boris has a thing for word games. Natalia's trying to access something, and he says... the password is, they're right in front of you and can open very large doors. And the password is knockers. And we discover that he's a genius hacker. He hacks into the U.S. Department of Justice, and he also spikes them, because in 1995, all the internet could be accessed through landlines. And the spike enables them to be unable to hang up, so that way he can now trace them.
Is a spike an actual thing?
I have no idea if
I
that is
don't
an
know.
actual
I've never
thing.
heard the only thing I've ever heard of it from is this movie, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, there's another great thing. You get a lot of great shots of 90s technology, a lot of old CRT monitors, and IBM keyboards. IBM is all over this movie.
Yes!
Along with Perrier. And, a lot of great 90s tech. Cutting off a little bit, but there's some really, really great explosions in this movie. The whole Severnaya facility blowing up looks awesome, like some really beautiful explosions. There's only one shot where I could obviously tell that it's like a miniature. It's, I think, the shot where the plane goes into the building. That looks like a miniature, but the most of it looks really authentic.
Yeah.
Great explosions. Not just in this scene, but in scenes we'll talk about later. I think some of the special effects, pyrotechnics work in this is some of the best ever.
Oh, yeah, totally. So Boris goes outside for a cigarette, but as he's about to light it up, the Tiger helicopter lands, and it's piloted by Xenia, and in tow with her is General Orumov, head of Space Division. So he goes in, he says that he's doing a surprise inspection, and that they are about to perform a war simulation by test firing Goldeneye. Now, we still don't know what Goldeneye is yet, other than just some sort of computer weapon, or space-based weapon, rather. But as Orumov's given the Goldeneye, Natalia opens fire and kills who she believes everybody to be in the facility. Now, one of them manages to survive for a few moments and hit an alarm, but as they set they program the Goldeneye to target Severnaya, so that way nobody's going to know that they were ever there, and, well, we'll get to this later, but The Russians dispatch 3 MiGs to try to intercept the helicopter as we leave. Natalia was able to hide in a cupboard in the kitchen, and that's how she was able to survive. But just when she thinks she's in the clear, the Goldeneye goes off. And Bond arrives back in London. Now, this is a bit of a... we are introduced to the new Moneypenny, played by Samantha Bond. Now, this Moneypenny starts out a bit different because, you know, for all the previous portrayals of her pining after 007, we find out she just came from a date with a gentleman. They went to the theater. And it's like, wait a minute. It's like, you're rubbing it in. It's like, none of the, I was pretending that he was you the whole time, James. It's like, no. Like, she enjoyed herself. She even warns Bond that his behavior could be considered sexual harassment. It's like, oh, wow. I kind of wish that this Moneypenny acted more like this throughout the rest of her tenure.
She's a girl in the 90s now, man.
Until Die Another Day, where she's like masturbating to holograms of Bond.
Yes.
Which I can't wait to get to Die Another Day. That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Flicking the bean, old bean.
Now, Bond goes in and meets Tanner, who is chief of staff of MI6. I almost said chief of operations, like he's Miles O'Brien. But, no, and Tanner also notes, well, look, the satellite picked up some previous images, and the Tiger helicopter was there. And he makes a comment about the new M, calling her the evil queen of numbers, and we are introduced to the new M, played by Judi Dench, in a role that she will play for the next, 70 years or whatever. It certainly felt that way, but... okay, your opinion of this new M played by Judi Dench.
Well, she's not in the movie that much.
No.
She's only in it for 2 scenes. The scene where they're looking at the monitors of what's going on in Severnaya, and the scene in her office. But yeah, well, obviously I like Judi Dench. She's my favorite M. Not from this movie, but through the culmination of all of her performances as M. But in this movie, she's not there much. She doesn't do a whole lot, but she comes off very quickly as a very cold and
calculating.
Yeah, a kind of by the numbers, strict M. But at the end, like on her the very last shot of her, we get to see that she has a soft side as well.
Yes,
because she says, "Oh, Bond, what did she say? Come back alive." So, and then she has kind of a little smirk. After she got done berating him, she calls him a sexist, misogynist dinosaur.
Yeah,
right.
He's a relic from the Cold War. I have no problem sending you to your death. And then, but
I won't do it on a whim.
But I won't do it on a whim. So she's tough but fair. And then, but try to come back alive. So she's not completely uncaring.
No.
And so I like that. Whereas you compare it to Bernard Lee or the other guy, Robert Brown. He's just kind of a grumpy man who sits in his office all day. He never really had much of a personality or character.
No, he was Basil Exposition.
Right, exactly. Whereas I guess she probably has more... She's only in the movie for maybe 5 minutes, but she probably has more character development than any of the other M's ever had.
Unfortunately, yeah. It's like all I know about Bernard Lee's M is that he was an admiral and that he collects butterflies in his spare time. That's it. But... So, M also gets a good line when Bond asks, are these pictures live? And M replies, unlike the American government, we prefer not to get our bad news from CNN. I don't know, I like that. But the Goldeneye weapon goes off, and M's, it should be known that M's reports that their statistical analysis showed that they had neither the finances nor the technology to be facilitating Goldeneye, because they know that it's rumored, but it doesn't. It isn't confirmed, but it's about to be, because the blast goes off. It knocks out the British satellite. It also knocks out 2 of the Americans. And when the next one comes into range, we see that there are no lights. Goldeneye is an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, something discovered by the Americans and the Soviets after Hiroshima. Basically, you detonate a nuclear weapon in the atmosphere. It generates a pulse that will short-circuit anything that's electronic. Simple as that, really.
Which in real life, I think it just fries electronic circuits.
Yeah,
but
everything just stopped working.
right. But in the world of James Bond, it makes everything with electronics explode violently.
Yeah, like the worst of damage reports on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Exploding consoles everywhere.
But like you said while we were watching it, if all the lights just suddenly went off and that was it, it'd be pretty boring.
Yeah.
Fine, we'll let things explode.
Yeah. It's like, well, it just clicked off like, okay, who forgot to pay the power bill?
No power on it, otherwise it's like a giant weapon attack.
Yeah. So Natalia is able to escape because the large satellite dish collapses. Well, that's probably because one of the MiGs went into it, so that's where the damage came from. She's able to climb out and escape, and Bond notices her on the infrared satellite scan.
Of course he did. Hey, who's that hot little thing down there?
Yeah.
Who's that hot little heat in his signature?
Yeah. And Natalia is able to make her way back because she is able to find some huskies, that
were just there.
Well, that's the thing.
I thought we saw somebody on a dog team earlier.
Yeah, we did see somebody in a dog team. It's just such a quick establishing shot. It's kind of like, wait, who are you? Where are these? Like, where? Yeah, where?
There was somebody came in on a dog. Sled.
I don't think those dogs showed up on the thermal satellite imaging, but
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
They were out of range.
They were out of range.
Cold-blooded.
They weren't the puppies that Bond was looking for.
Yeah. they were the different puppies, not in the Jerry Lawler.
Exactly. So we get
puppies, James. Puppies. I like a team myself.
Oh, God. So we get to the briefing with M. She gets off the phone with the Prime Minister. The Russians are saying that it was a routine training exercise that had gone wrong and that they don't know exactly what happened. But Bond says, governments change, lies stay the same. He believes that this was the Yanis Syndicate because by setting up the blast, it erases any record that the Goldeneye has been stolen. And the helicopter was the perfect escape vehicle because it's resistant to electromagnetic interference.
But what if it erases evidence that the Goldeneye was stolen, but doesn't the fact that the Goldeneye is no longer there, isn't that evidence of it being stolen?
Well, but who stole it?
Okay.
Like Bond says later, I know the Russian failsafes. You don't just walk in and ask for the keys to the bomb. You need the access codes. So it's kind of like whoever got in there was let in there. So, yeah. We find out about the Yanis Syndicate. They are top-flight arms dealers headquartered out of St. Petersburg, the first outfit to restock the Iraqis during the Gulf War. The headman is unreliably described, no photographs, and that Xenia Onatop's their only known contact with this group. Now, M also is going over the records at Severnaya, and she notes that, hey, the guy who was in charge of that facility is somebody you know. And we find out that Ourumov has been made a general. I was hoping to be able to read what was on that little bio thing.
We could have if we paused it.
Yeah, but I don't want to go back and read. I'll just look at YouTube another time. But we get to one of the most meta moments in all of the Bond franchise, where Bond kind of not lays into M, but suddenly digs at her because she says, well, we have ruled out Ourumov because our statistical analysis says he doesn't fit the profile of a traitor. And Bond just asks, are these the same analysts who said that Goldeneye couldn't exist? That the helicopter posed no immediate threat and wasn't worth following? And she just says, you don't like me, Bond. You don't like my methods. You think I'm a bean counter. Somebody more interested in my numbers.
Thought that crossed my mind.
Yes. Good.
I remember more dialogue from this movie than any other Bond movie. I was resisting quoting it through the entire thing, because I remember so many lines.
Oh, God, yeah. But yes, she calls him, M basically reads like somebody who has a blue check mark on Twitter, and calls him a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War, whose charms, though wasted on me, obviously weren't on that young woman I sent out to evaluate you. And Bond's kind of like, okay, you got me. And she's like, no, I don't just got you, I got more. And she says, I have the balls to send you to your death, but I'm not going to do it on your whim, or I'm not going to do it on a whim, even with your cavalier attitude towards life. Mm-hmm. And she says, look, find Goldeneye, find who took it, what they want to do with it, and stop them. And if you find Ourumov, guilty or not, don't kill him. All right? Avenging Alec Trevelyan won't bring him back. And Bond obviously still harbors some guilt over what happened back in the 80s, don't we all? And he says, you didn't get him killed. And she says, neither did you. Don't take it personally. Never. And just before he leaves, she's, as we said, that great line, come back alive. To show that she can be cold, but not uncompassionate. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Any comments?
It reminds me of a line that Ralph Fiennes as M says in Skyfall. He says to Judi Dench as M, he says, you're sentimental towards him, you always have been. And that makes me think of that in this movie. Like, even from the beginning, she couldn't find it, and she had a little soft spot for him. Mm-hmm. She wasn't just like the evil queen of numbers. She's like, she didn't care. She has a low opinion of him in some sense, but she does kind of care about him. So that when she said that in the movie this time, I thought of that line from Skyfall, that she's always been sentimental about him.
That's interesting. So we cut back to Russia. Natalia's arrived, but she's trying to stay out of just stay out of sight. I remember at the train station, she sees two Russian military people and just kind of turns and walks away because at this point she can't trust anybody. Mm-hmm. Ourumov is called in before the Defense Council, and he rules that this was. He's obviously covering his own ass, but he says that. The attack was committed by Siberian separatists trying to create political tension. But we see that there's a problem with Ourumov's plan because the defense minister asks, and what are the two missing technical or technicians? And as far as Ourumov knows, there was only one, Boris Grishenko. But it's clear, there's a great amount of tension. There's a little...
Yeah, there's a music sting, and you can see he's... instantly gets kind of nervous, like,
yeah.
I only heard of the one.
And, like, you feel all those Russians with their cold eyes just staring him down like he's like Ukraine or something.
Oh, those Russians.
And you can tell Dmitri is a little suspicious of him, so...
Because he's like, it's a bit of presumptuous of you to name Siberian separatists when you don't even know how many people are dead yet. Yes. So Bond... should we talk about the scene in Q Branch?
The big gun scene?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah,
Throughout the Brosnan movies, the Q Branch scenes get more and more ridiculous, and this one starts out pretty ridiculous. I've always liked the line, don't touch that, that's my lunch.
Yes.
I think that's pretty funny. But yeah, like the missile launching cast and the phone booth with the airbag in it. It's all pretty silly.
I'll say this: I'd rather them do that in the Q Branch scene than have them spread out through the movies like the.
Yeah, we get one scene with Q and then
that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like I said, it gets sillier, and then when they introduce John Cleese, I think it just gets really bad. I love John Cleese, but his character's terrible. So yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's what it is. What it is.
So Bond arrives in Moscow where he meets his CIA contact, Felix Leiter. Oh no, wait, it's not Felix Leiter. I can't believe it's not Felix. It's Jack Wade of the CIA, played by the great actor Sir Joe Don Baker.
Sir Joe Don Baker, yeah.
Felix Leiter got half eaten by a shark. Cut him
Yeah.
Yes.
That's basically what Jack Wade is. Jack Wade comes back in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yes.
Does he come back in World's War? No.
No.
So he comes back. He's essentially Felix Leiter. He does the exact same thing, but he has a lot more personality, I think.
Yes.
He's also kind of a comic relief character, but he's not as over the top as Q.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a very stereotypical American, where he's got the Southern accent. He's like all about. He's just kind of blustery and not taking anything serious. A little bit of a jerk,
but a nice guy.
But yeah, he's a good guy.
With a penchant for gardening.
Yeah, what is that line?
I didn't get that.
He says, "Hey, Bond, you do any gardening?"
Is that because there's a rose? He's got the rose tattoo. Like I don't get.
I don't know, but do you also notice that in other scenes, like what in the Caribbean, he was always kind of remarking about the plants.
Oh, did he? I don't remember that.
He
I
was
supposed to think like he's high or something.
I don't know. No, not that he's high, but just like, oh wow, they got like this flower here.
I don't know.
And he did mention the DEA. Maybe he's on the drive. Maybe he's got some of the stash.
Maybe.
I don't know, but that line, and that's where they cut. He says, "Do you know anything about gardening?" And then the scene cuts.
Yeah, it's just a very hard
What's
cut.
the name of the wife on the tattoo?
Muffy.
No,
Third wife.
Not a weed reference. So.
No.
Like I don't know. It's just a really weird line that doesn't make any sense, and then it ends the scene.
Yes.
It's very, very strange. But I like his character. He's fun. I like to make fun of him mainly because of Mitchell and the other Mystery Science Theater. No, other Mystery Science Theater movie he was in. Final Justice. So whenever I see Joe Baker, it's it's Mitchell. And he was also played another character, the villain in The Living Daylights.
Brad Whitaker.
Yeah, so it's interesting he comes back as a completely different character, but hey, why not? I like Jack Wade. I love, probably one of my favorite comedy scenes in Bond is the Show Me the Rose scene. I think that's so funny. I always remember in London, April's a spring month, whereas in St. Petersburg we're freezing our butts off. I always remember that. Great, I love that scene.
So Natalia goes to IBM Moscow, pretending that she is buying computers for some very prestigious schools, 24 for the Americans, 4 for the Swiss. And she's like, oh, by the way, I need to test one right now. One that has an internet connection.
I love how you have to specify that you need a computer with an internet connection because it's 1995.
Yeah.
And modems aren't built into computers yet.
That blistering 14.4 modem they got on
Yeah.
that thing.
I love this scene because Natalia's doing spy shit and she's not even a spy.
No.
She just wants to...
She needs a computer.
She needs a computer. She wants to find Boris. She doesn't trust anyone. And
there are no internet cafes at this point.
But she doesn't just. I mean, she's. I don't know what to call it.
Resourceful.
She's resourceful and she's headstrong. She wants to get to the bottom of this. She wants to find out who she can trust. She doesn't just. She's not just a dummy who just goes to the police or just goes home and tries to forget about it. I love how self-actualized she is.
Yeah,
it's great.
So she gets in contact with Boris, who is in an unknown location. He tells her she warns him. Ormov killed everybody and stole Goldeneye, and Boris tells her, listen, trust nobody. I want you to meet me at Our Lady of, I can't remember the exact church, but he meets her there, and unfortunately he's accompanied by Xenia, and she's, now Natalia's captured. So at that point, I'm forgetting everybody's names. Bond and Mitchell, Bond and
Mitchell.
Bond and Wade are discussing how to get in contact with Yanis, and Wade says, "Listen, the only way to do that is through his competition, a guy that Bond once ran into, who is ex-KGB, Valentin Dmitrievich Zhukovsky, who walks with a limp, played by." Robbie Coltrane, I think it is, who is very famous for playing Hagrid in the Harry Potter series.
Also Gimli in Lord of the Rings, and Sala in Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, that's John Rhys Davies.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was getting them confused.
Yeah, okay. I was kind of like,
that's John Rhys Davies is Gimli. My bad.
Yeah, because John Rhys Davies can play any nationality under the sun. It's a bit weird.
Plays a Spaniard in Shogun. He plays an Arab in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Plays a dwarf.
Plays Leonardo da Vinci in Star Trek Voyager.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Professor Arturo. I think he was British in Sliders.
Yes. Oh, jeez. We love you, John.
Many ethnicities.
Yeah.
So he goes to Valentin's club, gets a drop on him, but Bond gets the drop on himself because he's quickly captured. Zhukovsky is running a nightclub now that he's mafia. He needs a front, naturally. And he's hosting his mistress, Irina, who is doing some very bad karaoke. Mm-hmm. Irina, played by Minnie Driver in a, not blink and you miss it cameo, but yeah.
Pretty small cameo.
Yeah, small cameo nonetheless. So Bond wants to set something up for Valentine's to get him some money and to put him in connection with Yanis. Now, he mentions to Zhukovsky, these are pretty bad people. They killed a lot of innocent Russians. And Zhukovsky says, what else can you expect from a Lienz Cossack? And this part I found out was true. The Lienz Cossacks were real. They were a group of Russians who fought with the Nazis against the Russians.
Yeah.
They surrendered to the British after the war and were hoping that the British would join them in their fight against communism. But in the end, the British said no, returned them to Russia, where most of them were executed by Stalin's death squads. And as Bond notes, not one of our finest hours.
Yeah, this is something I never understood when I watched this as a teenager, and it wasn't until I actually did a little research about who the Lands Cossacks, the Cossacks were in general, and I just basically what you said is what I have here. They were from Lienz, Austria, and they were told by the British that the British would British troop came to Austria and said, "We're going to take you to a conference," and they didn't want to go because they didn't trust them. And the leader said, "I give you my honor as a member of the Queen's British Army that you are just going to a conference." And it turns out they rounded them up into trucks and they sent them to a prison elsewhere in Austria. And from that prison, they were shipped back to Russia to Stalin's death squads, basically. Mm-hmm. And many of them committed suicide before they even got there because they knew what was coming to them. So, yeah, pretty horrible thing that the British did to them. So that's an interesting bit of history. I find that there is a couple lines of exposition from Zukovsky saying this, but I feel like it's not really communicated that well who the Lands Cossacks were in the movie. And my problem is, I guess we'll just get into this now. My main problem with the movie, I think could be a lot better, is Trevelyan's motivations are not very clear. So you would think that because he's a Cossack and he feels he's the son of a Cossack from Lienz, that he says in one line that his father had guilt for surviving the repatriation in quotation marks of the Cossacks, that he went crazy from the stress of it and he killed his mother and then himself, leaving Trevelyan an orphan, and he blames the British government, and so that's sort of why he was doing what he was doing. But then you also have but he's also trying to get revenge on Bond, like he blames Bond as well. And if he was trying to get revenge if he just hated the British government, why is he just trying to steal money from he's trying to steal money from the Bank of London and cause a global financial crisis? But how does that get back at the British government?
Well,
shouldn't he want to like
you
blow
said,
up Parliament or something?
Probably, collapse the economy it's a slower long-term burn on the country.
And you got to remember
blowing up some buildings.
You got to remember what Trevelyan says. It's not just money; it's tax records, criminal records,
ownership,
everything that is on file in a computer, like gone.
But then why bother stealing money?
So he can finance his next thing.
Yeah.
But
because.
If his plan was completed, why other further? I guess because he runs a crime syndicate.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's got to pay these people something. It's like
He's got to pay his henchmen.
I guess so. Well, he didn't have henchmen. He had a Xenia, and that's it. The rest were Orlov's men.
Either way.
But I don't know. It didn't feel like the motivations were
not as grand
clear
as you were hoping.
Yeah, I guess so. Like normally in Bond movies, they want to destroy the world or blow up a country. It's like you want to erase all their computers and steal some money.
Well, if they were making it today, you'd be like, everybody's going to lose their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
all gone in the blink of an eye.
TikTok.
Well, plus in '95, most stuff was still backed up on paper yet. They hadn't really converted everything over.
Still.
Yeah, that's true. In '95,
defense plans.
Hell, people still had bank books.
Yes.
That's true.
Oh, God.
And pay with checks where you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
So.
Yeah, I guess. I guess I just thought it was a little bit weak, but fine. I guess you talked.
I think they were focusing more on the technological aspect of the villainry rather than the motivation.
I think if you got rid of the Lienz Cossack angle, though, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference because you could say, well, he's trying to get money for his crime syndicate and he's trying to get revenge on Bond. You don't really need a third motivation. But I guess it's not that big.
Maybe this was their little the more you know thing. It's like that would have been like, like the.
I wish they did a better job of explaining what a Lyanne's Cossack.
Oh yeah, no.
Because there's like one line by Robbie Coltrane, and even when I was watching it, it's like I wasn't completely understanding what he said. Like it's pretty quick, and there's a lot of history there that he tries to explain in like one sentence. And
yeah. And then he justifies it with brutal people got what they deserved. So Bond says, like, tell them to send a contact to the Grand Hotel where he's staying. And as he's in the pool room, he runs into Xenia, who, she tries to attack him, but Bond's got a gun hidden in his towel, conveniently enough. And one of the better lines in the franchise, she tells Bond, you don't need the gun. And he tells her, well, that depends on your definition of safe sex.
Yeah,
I thought that. I love that. So they start going at it, but it's clear that she's more into the strangulation than he is. And she tries, crushing him with her thighs. But he gets the upper hand and says, take me to Yanis. And you gotta notice, like, he's all in his nice suit. She gets stalled up. It's like, how'd that work exactly? Because they were just in bathing suits. And it's like, okay, you can put on some earrings. Why not? It's like, you weren't wearing those earrings before, Xenia.
Well, it's the same way that Natalia and Bond can go from escaping an exploding train to being in Cuba, where she's wearing this like beautiful white skimpy dress.
I suppose.
I guess they went to like a
travel agency.
No,
they went to Walmart
I
on the
wonder
way to
if
pick
David
up something.
Carradine was playing James Bond, if that scene would have ended different. Where she's strangling.
Well, the scene where Q gives him the belt would have been a lot.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second, dear. Okay, now.
Okay, so Bond goes to this cemetery of statues, I think is the best way to put it, because there are all these icons of former Soviet leaders.
I know in the video game of GoldenEye for N64, the level's called Statue Graveyard. So, and I guess we never. I don't really want to talk about the video game, but I guess we should mention it that GoldenEye, not just a great movie, but really played a lot of a big role in the history of video games.
Yes.
GoldenEye for the N64 is to this day considered one of the best N64 games, and a very important game because it was the first first-person shooter, the first really good first-person shooter on consoles that made people realize like, we can have shooters on consoles, because before then it was like.
Side scrollers.
It was that was mainly on console side scrollers and RPGs and stuff like that. And shooters were on PC, like Doom and Duke Nukem 3D and like Marathon and stuff like that. And this was the first one that really made developers think like, oh, this will work on a console. And because of GoldenEye, we had Halo, and then we had Gears of War and Call of Duty, and all these big franchises wouldn't exist if it wasn't for GoldenEye proving that it could be done. So, and I was talking to Bubs about this, and I've talked about other friends about this, is I think the history of GoldenEye, I think more people know GoldenEye from the video game than the movie.
Yes.
It's so massively popular, and I don't want to say Bond movies are niche, they're not, but if you were to ask anybody on the street...
The Bond franchise is part of the popular
but most
culture.
Of them couldn't name most of the movies.
Right. And it's almost like the GoldenEye game became part of the popular culture.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more recognizable and more popular in the general populace than
I think more high school kids
was.
at the time were going to go play the video game than go watch the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Because James Bond kind of seemed like your dad's franchise.
Almost.
I guess, yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. Okay, so Bond goes to this graveyard, and he meets the head of Yanis, and it turns out to be Alec Trevelyan. Who could have seen that coming? What a twist. M. Night Shyamalan, eat your heart out.
But now with a massive scar on his face.
Yes, and we hear the backstory about his father being Lyanne's Cossack, and Bond says, "Is that why you call yourself Yanis, the two-faced Roman god?" And Trevelyan says, "It wasn't God that gave me this face. It was you, setting the timers for 3 minutes instead of 6."
Now, I wanted to ask, is it implied that Ourumov was in league with Trevelyan on that mission, and Ourumov helped him fake his own death?
I don't know. That's something that's
It's
never
not clear.
revealed. It's no. And
But the fact that he was shot in the head, and you can survive being shot in the head, but
Yes.
it's rare, but there's no, like, bullet scar
no
on his,
cranial
on his head.
trauma.
But I don't imagine, like, if Trevelyan was working with Ourumov at that time, it's a pretty elaborate way to fake his own death by blowing up a chemical plant, which probably costs, $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
You think there'd be easier ways if he wanted to fake his own death?
I don't know.
Was he shot in the head, survived, and then went back to Ourumov and recruited him into his organization? Were they in league together from the beginning? I really don't know.
Well, the thing is, you always notice that Ourumov was very. I'm trying to think of the right. He seemed deferent to
He's
Trevelyan.
subservient.
Subservient,
to Trevelyan,
yes,
for sure.
yes. So it's
Like
kind of
he's
like,
afraid of him in that one scene where he admits that Bond escaped. On
Yeah.
the train, he's like wiping sweat from his brow.
and he takes a swig from his flask. So
Yeah.
who knows? Like maybe Trevelyan was survived and escaped and started his empire. Gets some sort of blackmail on Ourumov.
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah,
That's-
maybe.
But who knows? But I like the speculation.
Yeah, I guess I'm not saying it's a flaw that it's
Mm-hmm.
never spelled out, but I wanted to ask you because maybe there was something I missed. But
No.
yeah, it's left open.
Yeah. So Bond gets tranquilizer, the Bill Cosby special, and he's left in the Tiger helicopter where Natalia is screaming at him to wake up because it looks like the weapon system on the Tiger helicopter is armed. The missiles go off, and it turns out that they're going to make an about face and head right back towards them. And Bond is able, even though he's a bit tied up at the moment, he's able to hit the eject button in spite of it being in the worst possible place for an eject button to be.
Yeah, it's like an inch from his head. You think
Yeah.
maybe in a helicopter you're kind of getting jostled around a little bit. You
Exactly.
might accidentally hit that by accident.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
like,
little-
base, it happened again.
Just call it the convenience button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as they escape, Bond lets Natalia out of their little escape pod, more or less. And the first thing she does is kick him. And then I quickly noticed, wait a minute, she wasn't even tied up. But,
Stupid bitch.
yeah. So, so much for being resourceful. So then they are captured by the Russian army and taken into a holding cell where she reveals that, hey, he says, I know that you were there. Your watch is frozen by the Goldeneye blast, which means you've been wearing a broken watch
Yeah,
for
well,
the
I should
past
still
5
wear that
days.
watch. I thought of that too.
Yeah, and
It was expensive.
yeah,
It cost 50 rubles.
yeah. She talks about who she is, who the traitor was, that it was Boris. He's a computer programmer, and Dmitry Mishkin, the defense minister, comes in. And he says, "Look, I've got a British spy and a Russian or a Seven-Hour programmer. I think I know what's going on here." And they have this great back and forth until Natalia just like, "Hey, shut up! Just shut up!"
She takes charge in this.
Yeah, you're like boys with toys. And she says it was Ourumov who set it off. I saw him do it. And Mishkin asks, well, why would he do this? And he told me that there weren't any other Goldeneye weapons. And she says, well, no, there's another satellite. And he's like, okay. No, you were saying something about the lost art of interrogation, Mr. Bond. But then Ourumov comes in. He tries to take control of the situation, but it's clear he's about to be found out. So he shoots Mishkin and the guard and says, the defense minister has just been killed by a British agent, James Bond, who was shot while trying to escape. And this kicks off one of my favorite action scenes in not just the movie, but the whole franchise. The music, the pacing of that scene is just, phenomenal.
Yeah, the tank scene is so good. I love the way throughout the entire chase, almost every shot of Ourumov is he's looking through the back. He's like sweating
He is
profusely.
sweating.
He's drinking from his flask. Like he's fucking afraid that Bond's gonna run him over with that tank. And
Yes.
he's like desperate to escape. Like I love how he acts in that scene.
No, like you can tell he's coming apart. It's absolutely great.
He's not too cool for school. He's not
No.
like a villain who has everything planned out. He's really flying by the seat of his pants because in reality he's kind of a henchman in a
Yes.
way. He's kind of a lackey to Trevelyan. So I really like that. And
No, the tank scene, like before, I used to find it a bit boring, believe it or not, but like I almost felt like it kind of slowed the movie down for me, but in recent years, I'm kind of like, no, I can appreciate it because it's kind of like, when have you ever seen anything like this in a James Bond movie? Like, if he was driving a tank, it would be on a barren, like, Air Force base.
Yeah.
But it's like, no.
He's driving through the streets of St. Petersburg.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. I love it.
It's not flashy. Like, there's not lots of explosions. There's not, like, cars ramping.
No, he's not shooting.
He's not shooting constantly.
No,
it's like... But it's still a tank going through the streets of St. Petersburg, and they're like running over cars.
Oh God, yeah!
The Ormov in his car knocking people over, and
use the bumper. That's what it's for.
And he goes through that statue. So there's like a statue on top. And there's like bricks falling off, and it's like I love how the tank kind of gathers more debris as it goes, and at the end it's like full. It's like bricks falling off, and there's like giant Pegasus on top of it, and it's full of fucking dust. It's awesome. And it's a real fucking tank.
Yes.
I love
God,
it.
yeah.
It's so great. I love it.
I love practical effects. No. So Bond is able to follow them to a train. Okay, so basically they get aboard the train. Trevelyan tries putting the moves on Natalia, but she's not having it because "niet" means "niet."
Rapey.
Yes. Bond is somehow able to get ahead of this train, which makes me wonder, like, how did Bond know the Russian railway system that well? Especially, how did he get ahead of them in a tank?
Yeah, there's no way that tank is faster than a train.
Yeah.
There's no way I can suspend my disbelief for that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Maybe there was a couch on the tracks we didn't see.
Maybe. But Bond fires and derails the train. He gets on board. He gets a drop on Xenia and Trevelyan. And now there's a bit of a standoff because Oromov's got Natalia. And Bond tries to play the two against each other. He tells Oromov, what has this Cossack told you? And lets him know of his lineage. But Trevelyan says, it doesn't matter. What's true is that in 48 hours, you and I will have more money than God. And Mr. Bond here will have a small memorial service with only Moneypenny and a few tearful restaurateurs in attendance. So Bond says, look, kill Natalia. She means nothing to me. He ends up killing Oromov, but Trevelyan and Xenia escape. They lock them in the cart with 1-inch armor plating surrounding them. But they're able to escape after she spikes Boris and says, they're in Cuba, we've got to go there. They escape the train. The explosions in this movie, holy crap. Not just that, but also the sound design. Mm-hmm. The sound design is just excellent for this movie. So they make their way to Cuba, where Natalia says all her life she dreamed of going to the Caribbean, where there wasn't another human being for miles around. Because as we all know, nobody likes to go to the Caribbean, ever. Ever. I mean, who would actually want to go there?
Well, it depends if you would like some private island or something.
Like Jeffrey Epstein.
There you go.
Okay. So then we discover, oh no, there is another human being. It's Jack Wade via plane. And she asks her iconic question, what is it with you in moving vehicles as opposed to the stationary ones? So Wade says that he got this plane from a DEA friend. He says, like, look, you're looking for a satellite dish that's the size of a football field, but it's not there. And he warns Bond, look, I'm wishing you all the best. Call the Marines if you need help, but Trevelyan knows you're coming. On the beach, he and Natalia have this scene where she says, what, you're going to kill him and be a hero? All the heroes I know are dead. Like Wrecker was saying earlier, this is a great scene that shows Isabella's acting chops, and it's a shame that, unfortunately we don't get to see, or that we didn't get to see more of that from her in other roles.
Yeah,
But
as far as her performance, I think she's right up there with some of the best Bond girls. She's great. She's really intense. I believe that she's feeling these emotions. She's great. Mm-hmm. I think she's awesome.
So the next day they go looking for the satellite dish. They make another pass over this body of water, and out shoots a missile that shoots down their plane. They make a crash landing, but it takes the wind out of them. And then we see a helicopter And we also see the studio lights in Bond's eyes, as you noted.
I love that Blu-ray.
Oh, yes. And who is coming down from the helicopter but Xenia Onatopp, and Xenia is pissed. She is kicking the crap out of Bond, telling him this time the pleasure will be all hers. She starts crushing him, but Bond is able to kill her in one of the more gruesome ways without any blood, but basically shoots the helicopter. The helicopter drags her between a Y-shaped tree and just literally
Kind of crushes her spine.
Yeah. Like
Pretty gruesome.
That scene actually would be edited on TV a lot of times.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, no, they would not show the whole
But like
thing.
you said, there's no blood. It's not gory.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, it's pretty gruesome.
And Bond delivers his a semi-good catchphrase. She always did enjoy a good squeeze.
Yeah, I don't like that one so much. I think that was pretty lame.
So then we see the Goldeneye, this large satellite, emerge from the sea, and as I showed you, this is a real satellite. Unfortunately, it collapsed in December of 2020. Sean Bean was not nearby when it happened. So they sneak inside the facility after getting shot at by the incompetent guards. Bond is captured, but he plants some explosives on these nitroglycerin tanks or whatever they were. I can't remember.
Liquid nitrogen, something like that, yeah.
Natalia is in the mainframe hacking away, and we find out Alec's plan is to break into the Bank of England via computer and transfer the money electronically moments before the Goldeneye is set off, which would erase any record of the transaction. And as we discussed, it's not just the money, it's also records of all kind that are kept on computers. So as Trevelyan says, England is about to pay the cost of betrayal, inflation adjusted for 1949. Natalia, it turns out, hacked the GoldenEye satellite's navigation program, and it's about to burn up somewhere over the Atlantic. And we also find that Boris is playing with the explosive pen now. And this is a very tense scene because he's trying to unlock Natalia's codes. She's not even blinking when Trevelyan threatens to kill Bond. She turns it around and says, "Shoot him. He means nothing to me." And for the longest time, I always thought that any 3 clicks would set off the explosive in the pen.
That's what I thought.
But then towards the end, you hear click, click, click. It has to be 3 successive clicks.
Because I remember as a teenager watching that scene, trying to count the clicks, thinking like, it doesn't make sense because, it would have blown up before that. But if what you're saying is true, it has to be click, click, click.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, there's chaos all around. They're still trying to unlock the codes, and Bond decides he has to destroy the transmitter, and Trevelyan goes after him. There is a gunfight, some amazing fight choreography when they get in that antenna room. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, it's so intense. And the best part about it is no music. No dramatic music. It's just the sound of them punching and screaming. It's awesome.
There's not too many cuts. Like, it's not a modern fight scene where there's a cut after every punch.
Oh, God, no.
It's not a one long take by any stretch, but it's shot
not
pretty
Liam
well.
Neeson hopping over a fence and Taken.
No, it's done pretty well. And it's very close quarters, but it doesn't feel super claustrophobic. I think it's shot really well. And
Bond also ensures that the Goldeneye won't be able to readjust because he jams the antenna. He basically just takes a rod and puts it in one of the cogs, and that messes everything up, and Boris can't figure it out. This is the one thing. It's not, in the computer. It's all mechanical at this point.
Well, one minor technical problem is that because Bond jams the rod into the gears, it eventually stalls the dish from moving, and that eventually makes it fucking explode. I don't think that would happen. I'm guessing if there's some sort of mechanical failure, it would just stop.
And shut everything down.
Yeah, it's not going to blow itself up because there's a rod in the gears, but whatever.
Well, let's call Mythbusters for that.
Let's call Mythbusters, yeah. Let's put them on the phone. And let's see if Sean Bean can survive falling 800 feet onto solid concrete. Because I don't think that's possible.
So they get to the bottom of this large antenna array. where Bond and Trevelyan are fighting. A helicopter that Trevelyan called for has come up, but surprise, Natalia's in the back seat, and Bond is able to get the drop on Trevelyan, holding him by his leg, and Trevelyan asks, "For England, James?" And Bond just says, "No, for me," and drops him. And, falls to the ground
We
with
get a great dummy shot.
Oh, yeah, great thud. And the Goldeneye satellite is destroyed. Bond and Natalia escape, but Boris lives for about 10 seconds before he is frozen to death by 3 canisters of minus 200 liquid nitrogen.
For some reason. And
that's basically the movie. And we don't get the scene. We don't get to end the movie with Bond banging the girl in a boat. But we can assume they're doing it in the helicopter with all the Marines watching as they fly off in the distance. With Jack Wade watching. Damn, Jimmy, you're really giving her the gears this time. Oh boy!
Mind if I get up on in there? The old American greaser.
Final thoughts on the movie.
It's still one of my favorites. It's not rewatching it. I realize it's not the most action-packed Bond movie. I remember it being more stunt heavy and action heavy. Other than, it's got its fair share for sure, but it's not as action packed as I remembered. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. I still like it a lot. The tank scene is excellent. I think the plot. When I was a teenager watching all the Bond movies, I always had a hard time following the plots of the movies because sometimes they get very bogged down in exposition. There's a lot of political stuff in it. This one I never, other than the Lance Cossack thing, which is not really that big of a deal,
no.
I never had a problem following the plot of GoldenEye, so I think it's written very clearly and very straightforward, which is good for a Bond film, because like I said, they can get kind of convoluted. Some good stunts, like the dam stunt and the falling off catching the plane, and just some basically all the hallmarks of a good Bond movie are there. The theme song is excellent. I like Pierce Brosnan as Bond. I don't think he's probably if I were to rank them, he'd probably be near the bottom. Not because I don't like him, I do. It's just I like everyone else a little bit more. I think he's the most attractive Bond, but
yes.
I personally, but I think that almost works in his. It almost works against him in the sense that he's not ever very threatening. Like I think Daniel Craig's attractive as well, but Daniel Craig comes off as ruthless and dangerous, whereas Pierce never came off as very threatening to me. He's kind of just too handsome and a little too silly, kind of like Roger Moore. Roger Moore never gave me the sense of being, this is a fuck. Stay away from him. He'll kill you.
I think that works for me, just because if he's going to blend in as a spy or a secret agent, I think the fact that he can be a little more laid back and be a little handsomer and not be as brooding and serious, I think that makes it kind of people let their guard down around him. So
True.
I think it works for his character.
There is one minor thing. It's not really a complaint, but I like in these movies. I like in Bond movies. It sounds weird to say, but I like when Bond does spy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really do a lot of spy stuff in this movie. It's a lot of action. It's a lot of shooting. Like simple stuff like going undercover. He never does. He never really.
He sneaks aboard the Yanis yacht, but there's not enough of that.
But he just climbs overboard. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't. You don't see him like sneaking around corners or like. Dodging cameras. He doesn't really come off as a spy. Whereas, like, I always think of in, I think it's Diamonds Are Forever, where Bond's in a hotel room and he takes, like, a hair and he puts it over the door.
Dr. No.
That's Dr. No? So that he can tell if someone's been in there. Like, simple stuff like that I like. Because it's something a spy would do. Or in Dr. No, when he's, like, he knows his assassin's coming to kill him, so he just waits in a chair with a gun for the guy to come in. Like simple spy stuff I like. And you can say this in all the Brosnan movies because they get pretty over the top. Pierce Brosnan never does a lot of spy stuff. He's more kind of action hero man.
More of an infiltrator because he just kept sneaking and breaking into things.
Yeah.
He does some spy stuff in Tomorrow Never Dies, but we'll get to that later.
I'm not saying it's bad. It makes the movie worse. It's just I wish there was a little bit more traditional spy espionage stuff.
Yes.
But I like him. I like pretty much every actor, every character. It's still one of my favorite Bond movies. Like I said, it doesn't. I realize now it's not the action-packed movie I thought it was, or I remember it being, but
Still got plenty of it.
I still got quite enough of it. The pacing is really good, and you never have there's never any scenes like long exposition scenes that get boring. It moves pretty quickly, and like I said, it's easy to follow. So yeah, it's probably it's in my top 5 for sure.
Yes.
I don't know about number 2 anymore, but it's certainly in my top 5.
Bubs?
I really enjoyed it, and I think it's one of the better ones we've watched so far. I like Pierce Brosnan. I think he's got charm, charisma. Like you say, he's a good-looking dude. I just like the way he plays the character a little differently. Yeah, I find the spy stuff it's interesting, but I find it a little more boring compared to some of the action or some of the just infiltrating and going on a mission. This is a mission, accomplish it, and move on to the next thing. So I like him, and pretty straightforward plot, like you're saying, because sometimes you do get kind of bogged down in the twists and turns, and then by the time you get to like the 5th turn or the 5th second, you kind of forget what the point of the first 3 were, and it's like, well, that was redundant. So this one I never really felt that. So yeah, I'm liking the Pierce Brosnan movies. So I think I might have seen the next one, World Is Not Enough.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Okay, no,
World's Not Enough's the 3rd one.
Okay, I remember seeing that. That's the one with the Denise Richards, right?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen Tomorrow Never Dies. So I'm interested to see where the franchise goes. But yeah, so far I'm on board with the Pierce Brosnan.
Nice. Yeah, this is one of my top 5 Bond movies as well. I absolutely love it. It's got everything that you would want to help bring James Bond into the into the 20th century, but rather into the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes, because there probably was that feeling like, okay, James Bond, he doesn't have the Soviet Union anymore as a bad guy. That's what those statues in the opening credits were supposed to symbolize. He's no longer a Cold Warrior, a relic of the Cold War.
Yeah.
And, but can he work in the 90s? He does. And he continues to work.
Now, do you think it would have worked better with that transition of him trying to let go of the past of the Cold War if you'd have had an older James Bond play? Like, say you would, not Roger Moore because he's been way too old, but say you had like maybe the 5th movie that Bond is doing where now he has to change so many things about himself. That would have been nice to see the same actor going from the 80s to the 90s to have to adapt to that, as opposed to just, well, here's a fresh reboot on James Bond, so it's easy for him to change the character because you look at him as a different character almost.
That's kind of interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't mind rebooting Bond every once in a while.
It's necessary.
I'm just saying the timing there would have been a little more interesting if you would have had to have the same actor playing him for the last 10 years, adjusting to the end of the Cold War.
That could have been interesting. Yeah, I never considered that kind of thing, but yeah, that could have been neat.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is Craig's last movie.
It has to be.
What do you call it? Not Die Another Day. What the fuck's it called?
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. I'm hoping they wait 4 or 5 years for the next Bond movie. I don't think they will because there's money to be made, but I really hope they give it a nice break.
Mm-hmm. Breathing room.
Yeah, and then reboot it with somebody else.
Look how many goddamn Spider-Mans we have in 10 years, or Batman.
Or after Endgame, there was another fucking Marvel movie 6 months later. I wish they would give things time to breathe, but money.
Nope. Gotta make that money, especially.
So yeah, Goldeneye. I'm happy to get into the Pierce Brosnan era because, like I said, I mentioned before we were talking about wrestling. I said everyone's favorite era of wrestling is the era they grew up with. Mm-hmm. Well, I grew up with the Pierce Brosnan movies, and while they're not my favorite movies, I have lots of good memories of watching them. I have lots of thoughts on them. I've got emotional connections to watching these movies. These aren't the movies that got me into movies, like really loving cinema, but they were certainly some of the first movies I watched multiple times and bought on VHS because I wanted to watch them all the time. Before that, movies were just like, Jurassic Park's on TV, you'll watch it. But these movies are the first ones that are like, I want to get this movie so I can rewatch it whenever I want. So
Yes.
I got a lot of attachment to the Brosnan era, and I cannot wait for Die Another Day. That's going to be so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Well, in
For
about
you.
8 months we'll.
No, what I want to do is I want to have a competition where we each try to find, try to see who can come up with the most positives for Die Another Day. Because we could just bitch about the movie for 6 hours, but I want to see who can come up with the most good things about
it
the
probably
movie.
might be me because I've never seen it, so I don't have the stank like you guys.
Yes.
do. When you've seen it so many times and seen so much.
He's
bad.
only seen it once.
Only once was
Hey.
more than enough.
I hate the movie. I've seen it like 4 times.
Oh,
What would happen if I liked it?
Oh, you're off the podcast.
yeah.
We'll get fucking Punga in to replace you. We'll fucking do it. We'll get Punga. I swear. If you like it, I'll be interested because I don't know how
Yes.
anyone can like that movie unless you're just a contrarian.
Well, that awesome surfing parachutes.
Oh.
That's straight out of the fucking Batman serial from the 60s.
Oh, if you
that looks
watched-
like the scene where Batman was surfing with the Joker.
And remember, that was the movie that they invited Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth to.
Oh, that's what's killing her.
My favorite from that movie is it was Roger Moore quote. He went to the premiere, whatever, and he was interviewed after, and he very politely, in the most polite British Roger Moore way, he said, "Well, I think they just went a little too far in a few places," and that's coming from me.
Roger Moore.
And that's coming from me. The first Bond in space.
Yes.
That is the best fucking quote ever.
Now, my question is, you know how bad some of the special effects look. Have you watched it on Blu-ray yet?
I don't think so.
Oh,
no, I don't
so
think I
this
have.
will be interesting then.
Oh no, I don't think I have.
You're gonna see things you never
Just,
saw.
just the VHS
The
and the
poop
DVD.
will get stinkier.
We'll get to see the individual diamonds and fucking Diamond Face's
Oh,
fucking Diamond
God.
Face.
There's a
Oh.
Diamond Face.
He doesn't know about Diamond Face.
We gotta save this for the podcast.
No, sorry, no more spoilers.
Yeah.
I already spoiled Diamond Face.
I think if
It's like
you
right out Austin Powers.
if you two watch it together, you've got to have a microphone besides Bubs as he's watching, so that way he can get his
Oh,
commentary.
tell me Diamond Face cuts glass.
No, don't
No
spoil it.
spoilers. No
No
spoilers.
spoilers.
Okay.
All right.
So I guess diamonds really aren't forever.
Yeah.
No, he never says that. He never says that.
Oh,
But that was at the time where they were doing. We had to pay tribute to all the old Bond films, and you get that.
was the 40th anniversary, but
Yeah, yeah.
still.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Goldeneye, great movie. Go watch it. So next episode, there is. I think I mentioned last episode the new Kingsman movie is in theaters or was in theaters.
Is it still? Because
I don't know, but I want to
can't
watch.
go to
I want to
theaters,
watch that, so maybe we
so.
can talk about that. You've seen the Kingsman movies.
I've
right?
seen them, yes.
They're-
I've seen
I
the
like them
first
quite a
two,
bit.
yeah. I
They're
like it,
kind of James Bond parodies, really.
Yeah.
But
Without being hammy.
yeah, and without going into Austin Powers
Right.
territory. So we might talk about that. I don't know if there's anything else we plan on watching.
You got something coming up in a month.
Yeah.
What?
I said you got something coming up in a month.
Oh fuck! I forgot.
I haven't even watched the new trailer for
Oh,
it. I don't want to.
I watched somebody criticize. I watched a critique on the new trailer.
God. But some good news. Patrick Stewart confirmed season 3 will be the last, and it has nothing to do with the ratings.
And
Absolutely
nothing at all.
nothing.
No.
It was always meant to go 3 seasons.
Well, I guess they're filming them back to back, so probably because they're worried he's gonna
God.
die before.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll talk about that another day.
Anyway, that's it for this episode. So thanks for listening.